What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, and in this one we have why Indian immigrants are richer than Chinese in America. Very interesting topic, very interesting subject. We're going to find out. Before we jump in, however, if you would like to support the channel by becoming a member, all you got to do is hit that join button. You receive exclusive benefits that I know you guys would enjoy. And without further ado, let's dive in.
Despite the well-known fact that China is far ahead of India in terms of development, advancement, living standards, and economy, Indian immigrants often find greater success and wealth than their Chinese counterparts. This might seem surprising given China's global economic prowess. Generally, both Indian and Chinese immigrants achieve remarkable success abroad, more so than in their homelands. This trend is common among many Asians, including Filipinos, Pakistanis, and Koreans. However, when comparing Indian and Chinese immigrants, several key factors tend to favor Indians. Even though both groups share ancient civilizations, strong family values, and a focus on higher education and hard work, Indians benefit from specific advantages that Chinese immigrants don't always have. Let's delve into these factors in this video, so stay tuned.
Let's do it.
One significant advantage is the fluency in English that many Indians possess, which is less common among Chinese immigrants. India was colonized by the British for centuries, leading to a deep-rooted influence of the English language. During British rule, wealthy Indians would often go to Britain for higher education, a tradition that continued even after India's independence. The Indian independence movement was led by some of these highly educated individuals who, after independence, embedded the importance of English in the Indian constitution. Given India's vast linguistic diversity, English became a unifying medium in government and education. In India, English is a cornerstone of the education system, especially in private schools. This widespread use of English has given Indians a significant edge in the global market. India is now home to the second largest number of English speakers, after the United States. Because of this, Indians moving to the US often find it easier to compete and integrate into the workforce, including against Chinese immigrants. In contrast, China's relationship with the English language has been more complex. As a communist country and former adversary of the US, China restricted English language education for decades. While English is now taught in schools, particularly in major cities like Shanghai and Beijing, it doesn't hold the same level of importance as it does in India. Moreover, in China, English is typically taught in a more formal, read and write manner, with less emphasis on speaking. This is quite different from India, where English is spoken widely in schools, colleges, media, conferences, and daily life. Consequently, traveling in India with only English is manageable, whereas finding English speakers in China can be quite challenging. Indians have another advantage when it comes to language.
So I feel like 100%. I feel like he's spot on the money. Language-wise, I think, especially to be more successful, to get richer in America, English is going to be a language that I feel like you're going to need to speak. And it's in India has more of an emphasis on teaching English, has more of an emphasis on teaching their children English. And so, when they come over here, they're able to compete against English speakers because they can speak English fluently, whereas they've been taught growing up, read, writing, speaking. Whereas in China, they got rid of it for decades, and now they teach it in like the big city schools, but more of an emphasis just on reading and writing and not on speaking. So that makes sense that Indians would have the advantage language-wise, which is, one of the biggest advantages that you can have, I feel like, when going to another country to compete for jobs, to speak the language of that country. I know America is a melting pot of all kinds of different languages. But English, I would say, here is probably the most important language to be able to speak. In terms of success, in terms of financial-wise, English is probably the most important language to be able to speak over here. And so for Indians to be learning that from a young age and to be fluent in that is absolutely a big advantage.
They don't find it too hard to learn foreign languages because most Indians are already familiar with at least 2 or 3 languages.
That's incredible.
Typically, they speak English, Hindi, and their own mother tongue. This multilingual background makes it easier for them to pick up new languages. India is incredibly diverse, not just in language, but also in religion, culture, ethnicity, race, and geography. Because they are used to interacting with people from various backgrounds at home, they can easily adapt to dealing with people from all over the world. This
That makes
linguistic
sense.
adaptability is common among South Asians who prioritize learning English. In contrast, East Asian countries, including China, are much more homogeneous. Over 95% of China's population is Han Chinese, and Mandarin is the
Dang.
dominant language. There's little need for
Sheesh.
foreign languages. So many
Yeah.
Chinese people don't develop the skills to interact with diverse groups. This means they often struggle with English and are less likely to excel in roles that require strong communication and relationship building skills. While this linguistic barrier primarily affects the first and second generations of Chinese immigrants, Indians often surpass them in these areas. That's why you see many Indian-origin politicians, journalists, CEOs, and managers in Western countries where command of English and interpersonal skills are crucial.
Yeah.
For instance, Rishi Sunak, of Indian descent, served as the Prime Minister of Britain. Humza Yousaf, of Pakistani descent, became the First Minister of Scotland. And Vivek Ramaswamy is gaining popularity in American politics. It's
Yeah.
rare to hear of individuals of Chinese or East Asian ancestry achieving similar prominence in Western politics.
Yeah.
It's not just in politics or
But that does make sense. I mean, and I guess in China's circumstance, you really, like you said, 95% was it East China that he was talking about, or East Asia, are Han Chinese. It was something like that, or Mandarin was the dominant language. So in those circumstances, you don't really need to learn another language. You don't really need to be able to speak English because you can be successful there. However, if you're wanting to come over to America, India, and the fact that they learn Hindi, English, and then their mother tongue, and then they deal with India is a very, very diverse place with people from around the world. They deal with different people, different kinds of people, and interact with different kinds of people all the time. That is another huge advantage when coming to America. That is also a big melting pot full of all different kinds of people, where you're going to have to deal with different kinds of people all the time. That is another advantage that India has over the Chinese in being able to become more successful here in America.
similar fields where Indians excel, they've also outperformed Chinese immigrants in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM sectors. A significant factor here is the 12-hour time difference between America's Silicon Valley and South India. During the 70s, 80s, and 90s, when the internet wasn't as widespread as it is today, Silicon Valley needed a cheap workforce that was fluent in English and could work daily.
Oh,
South
wow.
Indian cities like Hyderabad, Bengaluru, and Chennai were ideal because of their time difference with California. This meant that while these South Indians worked during the day, they could easily communicate and coordinate with Silicon Valley's needs in real time. Over time, many of these workers moved to Silicon Valley. As they advanced to managerial positions, they often hired other Indians, recognizing their hard work, eligibility, and loyalty. As a result, many tech companies began prioritizing Indian workers over other immigrants. For instance,
That makes
in the
sense.
H-1B visa category, which is granted to highly skilled immigrants, Indians far outnumber Chinese immigrants.
Wow.
This time zone advantage turned South Indian cities like Bengaluru, Chennai, and Hyderabad into India's Silicon Valley. It also sparked a huge drive for careers in technology within India. This chance factor explains why there are so many South Indian CEOs in Silicon Valley today. The high incomes
Yeah.
of these Indian engineers significantly boost the median household income for Indians in the US, helping them surpass the Chinese. While these chance factors have given Indian immigrants a notable edge over Chinese immigrants in the US, it's important to remember that within their own countries, China has built a formidable technological and scientific empire, while India still lags behind.
Yeah. But India is growing and catching up every single day. Their economy is continuing to grow. But yes, China has built a formidable empire with an incredible economy. China would be looked at definitely financially or economically as a superpower in the world. So, yeah, that does make sense. But, yeah, India, I guess, outperforms China in those STEM sectors, along with being able to integrate easier, along with dealing with diversity of people, along with learning English fluently. And so they're just better prepared to come to America and be successful. And then with the time zone difference, I didn't even know that about Silicon Valley. They were able to handle a lot of the needs because they were up during that time with it being a complete time zone difference. And so then they moved to America. They moved to Silicon Valley. And what do? They bring in more Indians that they trust that have done an incredible job. They bring more. And so now you see them move up the ranks and become CEOs, leaders in whatever companies that they're working in. It's absolutely incredible. And I mean, Indians are absolutely very smart, very determined, very focused, and loving people. Like they're awesome. That's all we got for this video. Tell me what you guys think about it in the comment section. And if you enjoyed that, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and then check out the next video. See you guys there.